section. I will now call on Senior Councilwoman Dorothy Gooseby to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Hand over your heart. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Now I would like to ask the town attorney to make a comment.
Good morning, everyone. As you might know, in the past, the supervisor, as a courtesy, has had the speaking time limit at 5 minutes. Due to the large number of people in the room today, and to give everybody an opportunity to be heard, we're going to revert back to our rules, which say each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes in speaking time.
Okay. The first item on the first of all is call the roll, please, Madam Clerk.
Supervisor Santino.
Here.
Councilman Ambrosino. Here. Councilman Blakeman.
Here.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Here.
Councilman Dunn. Here. Councilwoman Gooseby. Councilwoman King-Sweetie.
The next item, please. First item, please.
Petition of Commissioner of Buildings to demolish and remove the two-story wood frame, one-family dwelling, and remove all litter and debris from property in Baldwin.
Okay, is there anyone who would like to be heard on this matter before the town board? There appears to be none, so at this point I'll have a motion, please. For Baldwin.
I move that the public hearing be closed and the item be adopted.
Second the motion.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn. Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilwoman King-Sweetie.
Next item, please.
Petition of Commissioner of Buildings to demolish and remove the one-story wood frame, one-family dwelling with detached garage and remove all litter and debris from property in East Rockaway.
Okay, we have one individual who has signed in and indicated a desire to speak. Adam Spurgeon? Spurgeon. Councilor, please have a seat. Your name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, Council. My name is Adam Spurgeon. I'm an attorney from Gross Palowie, 900 Merchant Concourse, Westbury, New York, 11590, on behalf of my client, Ditech Financial, LLC. My office has recently been retained to appear on this matter on behalf of Ditech Financial. Ditech Financial received a notice of this hearing regarding the demolition of a property at 7 Martin Street East in East Rockaway, New York. We're asking for a short extension before this is approved so we can speak to the code enforcement and the buildings department regarding the condition of the building, and I can discuss with my client their options on either remediating the property or recommending that it be demolished.
Commissioner Rockcamp, what is the actual status with respect to this?
Good morning, supervisors, members of the town board. Right now, the property is secured, so we can give them a short window to do that. However, my recommendation to the town board would to proceed with this hearing, and this way, if he doesn't follow through, we would be able to.
Okay, so Councilor, customarily what we do is at this point is we will vote on this matter and essentially stay enforcement of it for about 30 or so days, assuming a good faith effort to resolve the situation between yourself, your client, and the building department. Is that, you amenable to that? That's essentially our policy.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Very good. I thank you very much. Do I have anyone else wants to speak on this item, please? There being none, I will have a motion, please.
Supervisor, I move that the public hearing be closed and the petition be granted.
Second the motion.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn. Aye. Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilwoman King-Sweetie.
Next item, please.
Proposed local law regarding regulations and restrictions to limit parking in Belmore, Franklin Square, and West Hempstead.
Okay. Is there anyone who would like to be heard on this matter before the town board? There appears to be none. I'll have a motion, please.
Supervisor, I move that the public hearing be closed and that the local law be adopted.
Second.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito. Dunn. Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilwoman King Sweeney.
Next item, please.
Proposed local law regarding parking or stranding prohibitions in Belmore, North Belmore, and Wantagh.
Is there anyone who would like to be heard on this matter before the town board? There appears to be none, so I will have a motion, please.
I move that the hearing be closed and the item adopted.
Second.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn. Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilwoman King Sweeney.
Next item, please.
Proposed local law regarding arterial stops in Belmore, East Meadow, Elmont, Merrick, and Valley Stream.
Is there anyone who would like to be heard on this matter before the town board? There being none, I'll accept the motion, please.
I move that the public hearing be closed and the local law adopted.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn. Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilwoman King Sweeney.
Next item, please.
Proposed local law regarding bus stops in North Belmore.
Is there anyone who would like to be heard on this matter before the town board? There appears to be none, so I'll accept the motion, please.
Make a motion that the hearing be closed and the item be adopted.
Second.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito. Councilman Dunn. Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilwoman King Sweeney.
Next item, please.
Proposed local law regarding U-turn prohibited in Garden City South.
Is there anyone who'd like to be heard on this matter before the town board? There appears to be none, so I will accept a motion, please.
Eddie.
I move that the public hearing be closed, proposed local law adopted.
Second.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn. Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilwoman King Sweeney.
Next item, please.
Proposed local law entitled Department of Water Rates and Regulations.
Supervisor, if I could ask for a motion to adjourn this item without date, since the Water Department is still working on numbers in this matter.
Do I have a motion in that regard?
Supervisor, I move that the item be adjourned without date.
Second motion.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito. Councilman Dunn. Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilwoman King Sweeney.
Next item, please.
Proposed local law entitled Mass Mailing Restrictions. And Supervisor, I do have a companion proposed local law entitled Ethical Standards.
Okay. On this item, I have Mr. Henry Boytel.
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like
Yes.
to offer an amendment to the mass mailing restriction. It's really for purposes of clarification. It would be adding Section 33-8 entitled Interpretation. No chapter shall be interpreted in a manner as would impede the obligation of any town officer or employee to perform any duty enjoined upon him or her as a matter of law. So, for example, the receiver of taxes, if they have to send something out, that would not impact those duties.
Second.
Okay, so, Mr. Town Attorney, procedurally, we vote on the amendment before we hear the...
Correct, Supervisor.
Okay, so then we have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito. Councilman Dunn. Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilwoman King Sweeney.
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Boytel.
Henry J. Boytel, Rockland Center, New York. Sir, I wonder if it could be explained to the audience what the difference is between the pending resolution and the existing practice.
Mr. Town Attorney?
I think the existing practice is that mailings go out within not more, let me make sure I say this correct. A mailing cannot be made within 30 days of an election for, and this proposed law would extend that to 45 days. In addition, it creates changes to the ethics law, which allows members of the public to file complaints if they believe that the mass mailing local law is being violated.
And can you explain to us how whether there's a provision here for the administration of such complaints?
Yes, it would go to the ethics committee.
In terms of timing, how long would it take for such complaints to be adjudicated, so to speak?
I would tell you that within a reasonable time. It's very difficult to say without knowing what the complaint is. Within a reasonable time, the complaint will go to the ethics committee, and the ethics committee would rule on it.
So in any event, my point is to speak to the issue of the practical application of rules such as this, and whether you should further, or perhaps a future this body in the future should amend this rule so that there is a practical way that people could make complaints that can be expeditiously determined in terms of the probability that there is a basis and adjudicated so that abuse of the system can be prevented. My own feeling is that the entire mailing process within the town has been abused. That the use of mailings for the purpose of promoting the candidacy or reputation of either the presiding officer or the members of the group has been inappropriate and a public expense. And there should be also in these rules some provision, because I do not think there is, for charging against any public officer any expenditures which are made in violation of the rule. I don't believe there is such a provision here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Felix Procacci, please.
Mr. Supervisor, can I just point out, I believe the clock will only stop at 5 minutes, so therefore when it hits 2 minutes, my clerk there will ring the bell.
Thank you very much. Mr. Procacci, your name and address to the record, please.
Felix Procacci, 1165 Bond Street, Franklin Square, New York. On this mass mailing restriction, I believe this legislation should be tabled for another day because it's lacking in a lot of respects, and I'm not going to repeat what Mr. Botel said, but I agree with all of what he said. It should also include, it should start at 0 pieces of mail, because as we know, 1 piece of mail could be abuse, like several of your members up there used town money to promote their own position in respect to the Franklin Square, St. Catherine of Siena, dormitory that was going to be set up for homeless people. So you use town money to send your personal opinion. So that might have been 1 piece of mail to a Board of Appeals member, or it could have been, 5 pieces of mail sent to 5 residents, who you cared about enough to send a reply. That was, you can't promote something that is in limbo. That mailing was inappropriate because that organization didn't even get their day in court, so to say. It was cut off before they even had a chance. The public hearing for that organization was That was where people were supposed to voice their opinion, and the town board did that. And also, it should include internet traffic, emails, as well as displays on the website, because that could also be inappropriate as you put you won by 60%. I didn't see you change it saying that you lost by 1%. So, there's a problem there. You're promoting yourself with taxpayer money. That's what so really table this. It needs a lot of work, and let Laura Gillen have her chance at it.
Okay, there has been no one else signed in to speak on this matter. So at this point, we will call the roll.
Madam Clerk, there will be two separate votes. There will be a vote on the mass mailing, and then you will call a vote on the amendment to the ethics law. And for the public's information, the reason that the ethics law is being amended is because the mass mailing legislation has language in it that allows members of the public to make complaints to the ethics board, and so the amendment to the ethics legislation is to incorporate that. So that's why these items are joined together.
Well,
So
who
two
joined-
separate votes.
Who joined them together?
The author of the mass mailing statute, the authors of the mass mailing law provided in the mass mailing law that complaints could be made to the ethics board.
No, I heard you, but who said that we were putting these two together?
I did because I thought that's how it had to be handled.
Well, in other words, there is language in the mass mailing legislation. She called them together. The clerk called the items together.
Well, I think,
Well, then I have some questions. What are the ethical standards?
The mass mailing,
No, now you're
the
talking.
local law,
No, I understand.
Well, why don't you give it to us in writing, then we can all see it?
the local law that, if it's passed, has language in it that provides for members of the public to make complaints to the ethics board. That language in enabling the ethics board to hear those complaints is not in the ethics law. So we have to change, if mass mailings is approved, then we have to change the ethics law to correspond to what's in the mass mailing statute.
And there's then going to be a vote on the ethics standards?
Yes. Yes.
You're not calling the two items together?
We just heard the two items. We're going to
we're
call
voting
for a
on them
separate vote.
separately. Call the roll on the first one, on the mass mailing, please.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman. Councilman D'Esposito. Councilman Dunn. Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilwoman King Sweeney.
Aye.
And now I will call on the
Hold on.
ethics standard.
I am advised that we had a motion on an amendment, but not, I guess not on the original bill. So we're going to have to go back and do it again. I need a motion on the mass mailing restrictions from someone, please. As amended. Is there a second?
Second.
Now call it again.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn. Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilwoman King Sweeney.
Aye.
Okay, now I need a motion on the ethical standards as amended.
I make the motion.
Second.
Second it.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn. Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilwoman King Sweeney.
Aye.
Okay, next item.
Proposed local law entitled Office of Inspector General, establishing a position and title of Town of Hempstead Inspector General, IG, and Town of Hempstead Office of Inspector General. Supervisor, I have a companion local law entitled Office of Inspector General / Compliance Officer, establishing the position and title of the Town of Hempstead Inspector General / Compliance Officer.
Okay. Signed in, we have a Mr. Jerry Pilata.
So, Mr. Supervisor,
Yes.
we're voting on these separately, but you are hearing from
That
the
is correct.
public together?
Collectively,
Is that
that's
the plan?
That's correct, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Pilata.
Hello, my name is Jerry Pilata, 214 Tallulah Lane, West Islip, New York. What brings me here today, and I wanted to speak briefly on this, is that my good friend Jim Alkus has been trying to get a plumbing license in the town of Hempstead for quite some time. And it appears that intentional and systematically he's been denied his rights to get that and support his family. So I think it's a great idea that there's an Inspector General position with a compliance officer to make sure the laws and rules are being followed. Further, my friend Jim, who I've known over 20 years and is a good man, has a handicap. And again, intentionally, what it appears, and systematically, rights afforded to him have been denied. Being a good man, he has tried for months to work out an agreement with members of the government here in the town of Hempstead. Again, to no avail. Systematically and intentionally, it appears he's been stonewalled at every opportunity and turn. So I ask, I'm from Long Island, born and bred. Long Island, in my mind, was always Nassau, Suffolk. I went to school at Hofstra. I am a local boy, born and bred. Why would a gentleman from Long Island with deep roots in the community, a respected man from our town, why is he being denied? Is there any town board member here that is familiar with the situation and is actively taking steps to correct this?
May I, Mr. Supervisor?
Go ahead, please.
I don't know if you know, but over the past week, he has been to the town attorney's office, and his request was he passed 2 parts. He wanted to take the 3rd part separately without having to take the other 2 parts. And we have worked with the building department, and we've arranged for that to happen. When he was told that, and I would think it was late last week, so you're probably not aware of it, he was very happy, and they're making arrangements, and the last I know from him is they're making arrangements for him to take that last part.
I don't know your name, but I have seen a lot of documentation. I have seen evidence. I have heard evidence to the contrary that on a number of occasions, yes, Mr. Alkus, we're going to work this out. The rules change. First they say he passed 2 parts and didn't have that last part, denying him his rights for extra time afforded a person with his handicap. Then it goes back and says, no, you didn't pass 2 parts, you only passed 1 part. An intentional and systematic effort to deny him his rights. And again, one stonewall tactic after another. Again, the 1 part that you say that he failed, he passed. He has pictures proving that. He has experts that have taken a look at it. He passed.
We may not be talking about the same part.
We are absolutely talking
Thank
about
you,
the
Mr.
same.
Pilata, thank
Happy to
you.
speak to you
I have
after the
dabbled in
meeting.
politics
Mr.
as well.
Pilata, your time has expired, and we
And
thank
there's
you.
a reason why,
We thank-
Mr.
we thank
Santino,
you
with all
very
due
much.
respect, if you allowed this to happen,
Mr.
there's a reason why you're not back.
Mr. Pilata, thank you very much. Okay, the next speaker on this Inspector General issue, Stephen Greenfield. Mr. Greenfield, is Mr. Greenfield here? Your name and address for the record, please.
Stephen Greenfield, live at 2336 Harrison in Baldwin. I would like to speak briefly about one aspect of the ethics reform proposed. I'm not going to comment on the specifics of the proposal, but rather suggest a different approach. I know that Nassau County is discussing hiring an inspector general. The town of Oyster Bay is discussing hiring an inspector general, and we in the town of Hempstead are also looking to hire an inspector general. For the sake of the taxpayers, why not discuss with the other governments the possibility of creating a single professional office of inspector general that is truly independent of political influence? Use the model of the Congressional Budget Office, which is highly respected by both parties. Each government entity could contract with that office for its respective services on a contractual basis. That way, taxpayers would not be funding 3 high-paid generals, but rather 1 general and maybe several captains. This would not only save money, but also demonstrate that our multiple layers of government can work together. I urge you to table this matter until this proposal could be explored. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'm sorry, I cannot read the name, but it's the address is 238 Broadway, Amityville. If that's you, come on up.
Jim Alkus, 238 Broadway. First, I'd like to congratulate all the board members again that were reelected, and I'd like to congratulate Mrs. Gillen and wish her the best of luck moving forward. Secondly, I haven't come to many town board meetings. As a matter of fact, I only started coming after I realized how bad things were inside the building department with John Rotkamp. So he will refuse to take anybody's calls whatsoever, and hopefully he gets fired January 1. But that being said, the legal department is as bad. So what I've known to happen, which is why you do need an inspector general, since I've been coming here in August, with literally, I have the bag of proof with me, the pictures, the lies, I have everything. Now, I've met with supposedly your independent individuals. I met with one on 9/14, September 14th. He corroborated what I had. I met with Mario Bouvet on 9/21. He alleged I never brought anything, but he was investigating it. After I went through that investigation, where I've never got to sit down with John Rotkamp once, they sent me over to Charles Covet. So now I have 3 different guys alleging that they were going to look into what I was actually telling them, which is factual. It's not make-believe, it's factual. But being that I understand it's politics and everybody's playing behind the scenes, everybody's just playing with words here. So you have to have somebody independent to oversee these boards. Now, I did speak with Mr. Ra last week, and he did take time to speak with me, and I did appreciate that. However, as the last few times when I spoke with a few people, they tell you one thing, and they say, this is what we're going to do, and then they just try to get you to stop speaking at a board meeting. Now, after I spoke to them last Thursday, which something was pretty reasonable, all I did since Thursday was asked very nicely. They told me to speak with one gentleman. I'd like it in writing because I'm not going to believe anything anymore. Now, since Thursday, all right, I spent 50 hours on coming here to the meeting to be prepared. They couldn't spend an hour to write a final agreement. But I have been told, just so you're aware of this as a board for your finances, I have been told, I would say approximately 9 times from at least 5 different individuals to just sue you. I mean, everybody that owns a business knows lawsuits cost money and time. So of course I'd win, but it's going to be probably 15, 20 grand. So I'd rather come with amicable agreements, but you guys just say sue. And I think it's terrible, and I hope you get a good inspector general.
Thank you very much, sir. Ms. Rory Gordon? Second call, Rory Gordon. Okay. Then there's no one else on this matter, so then we. Okay, come on in. On the Inspector General, we're on now.
Good afternoon. Maybe we should ask the employees that are getting paid to leave first so we can let the
We're on the
public come in.
Inspector General.
Yeah, I understand that, whatever. Can you explain the difference to me between Inspector General Proposition number 1 and number 2, just so the audience understands the difference?
Mr. Ra, would you go over the details, please?
There are some differences in the following. Inspector General, without the / compliance officer, just a straight Inspector General, contains language that provides that Inspector General would be hired by a unanimous vote of the town board. Number 2, it requires that if there is not a unanimous vote, then the district attorney or the U.S. attorney for the Eastern District would then appoint an Inspector General. Number 3, it gives subpoena power to the Inspector General. So those are the 3 main differences. The issues there are, number 1, under the town law of the state of New York, a board cannot diminish its power. So absent state legislation that would require a majority, a unanimous vote, that would be illegal and not be able to be sustained. Number 2, the town of Hempstead does not have subpoena power, so we cannot give away to someone else that which we do not have. And number 3, giving appointment power to an outside person / entity would also diminish the rights of the duly elected town board members.
So, Mr. Ra, first of all, it does not require unanimous vote. I believe it's 6 out of 7. And in the circumstance that we all couldn't agree, it would then be referred to the U.S. attorney and the district attorney for recommendations, and they would give us recommendations, and we would have a certain amount of time within which to appoint someone that they recommended. So there is a mechanism there that doesn't require a unanimous vote. It's a way to ensure that the majority doesn't have tyranny over the minority by electing an inspector general that may have a political bias, someone who may not be truly independent. So therefore, it requires the town board to get together and act together and get a person that's truly independent. That's number 1. Number 2, I was very curious about your statement that under the town law of the state of New York, the board cannot do anything that would diminish our powers as a board. Is that correct?
Yes.
That is correct?
Yes.
Then how can we be voting today on amendment to the CSEA contract that limits our right to lay people off? Isn't that diminishing our powers as a town board by taking away one of the most fundamental powers we have as a town board to control our fiscal well-being?
Councilman,
you don't think that's a diminution of
those are two totally different legal issues. And I'll leave it at that.
Would you apply your opinion
No, the
to item
CB,
17 as well as to this?
whatever you think the merits are of the CBA agreement or the amendment to the CBA, it is certainly legal to do.
It's not diminishing our rights as a board.
No.
If I could just add to Mr. Ra's comments, the reason why we, Councilman Blakeman and I proposed the subpoena power, we based it off of the Town of Oyster Bay's proposal. We thought it was a good idea and included it in ours.
So what Mr. Ross is saying is that Town of Oyster Bay is not doing it correctly?
Well, the Town of Oyster Bay hasn't passed anything.
Yeah, and getting back to the subpoena power, if the Inspector General does not have subpoena power, how are they going to get information within which to conduct an investigation? I don't know of any Inspector General that doesn't have subpoena power.
All you need to do is have the state legislature and governor pass a bill to give the town of Hempstead law enforcement authority, and you can do that.
All it requires is a home rule message.
A home rule, well, the home rule message only lies after a bill gets introduced in the Senate and Assembly, then they call for a home rule message. So we can work on that going forward if you'd like to try to get subpoena power for the town of Hempstead.
Okay, Ms. Gordon, would you go ahead, please?
Yes. Has the board collectively met on either one of these proposals?
Well, I mean, I'll speak for myself. I don't think we've collectively met, but I've had conversations with pretty much every board member on both of those.
Okay. And yourself, Mr. Blakeman, have you met with everybody on both of these?
I believe I've spoken to everybody as well.
Okay. What I don't understand is it says at least 6 aye votes of town board members shall be needed to appoint the Inspector General. That's taken out in this newer version. And I would think it'd be important that everybody agrees on who the Inspector General is. Or how else would you agree?
Town law requires a majority vote unless otherwise provided for by state law.
So just so I understand, it'll be like the same thing for the last 3 meetings where Erin and Bruce vote together and the rest of the team does not? Is that where we're kind of at right now? So I understand that correctly? It's going to be.
We won't know that until they vote, correct?
Okay. Well, I'm predicting the future.
All right, let's move ahead, please, Ms. Gordon.
I think I've covered it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Oh, I do have a question. I have to go to the bathroom. Can I come back in? No, I'm serious. You're laughing.
If you're in, I believe they'll let you back in.
Okay, did you hear that? Mr. Santino said I could come back in at the front desk. Thank you, Mr. Santino.
Lucille DeFina. Lucille DeFina.
I guess I'll sit at this mic with all these other mics, and you know today is a very happy day because we have sat here year after year after year and watched the town board bully and harass people and put words in our mouths and make fools out of us. And it has paid off to be sitting here today. And thank you, Councilwoman Sweeney and Councilman Blakeman, for finally, And before you leave, Supervisor Santino, I want to thank you, and that's the only reason why I'm up here. I want to thank you for being such a blatant bully and for turning down.
Are you on the subject of Inspector General?
Yes, because that's why we're all here. Isn't this the reason why this place is packed? Because you put in the way anything that anybody ever tried to do that was honest and ethical. And I am so happy this place is now filled to the brim. And we will be here to back you for the rest of the time. Thank you, Blakeman, Sweeney, for having the guts to step out of this horrible situation. Thank you.
On Inspector General, anyone else? Mr. Procacci? Name and address for the record, please.
Felix Procacci, 1165 Barnes Street, Franklin Square, New York. I want to add a provision to the Inspector General amendment rule that the town supervisor cannot pack half the pavilion with his cronies so the public cannot sit down.
Okay.
Okay. I feel it's necessary that I agree with what they're saying about the town law as far as the votes, but somebody else should pick the candidates, not the town board. They could vote on the candidates with majority rule, but somebody else needs to pick it, because just like you're going to do later on, you're going to pick 3 corrupt people to be part of your board of ethics. John Ryan, I know personally through his letters to me, he doesn't know the freaking law, or he's just playing ignorant. You can't pick people like that who are just your cronies who sit on the right side of this pavilion. Okay. I want to add several provisions. The Inspector General Compliance Officer shall review proposed and existing laws to evaluate their legality and necessity. He or she shall also review proposed and existing lawsuits to ensure they are within the public interest and their necessity. The town has failed to do this and has wasted hundreds of thousands of dollars in unnecessary lawsuits. They shall also review building department records to ensure the building department is acting in accordance with applicable laws, and they are not. I will tell you that. The Inspector General shall review FOIL requests and responses to ensure the town is acting in accordance with the Freedom of Information Law. The Inspector General Compliance Officer shall review open meeting records, video, and transcripts to ensure the town board is acting in accordance with the Open Meetings Law, because you never do. The Inspector General Compliance Officer shall review all media produced by town to ensure appropriate content. This shall include, but not be limited to, mailings, advertisements, emails, and website content. The Inspector General Compliance Officer should specifically state that members of the public may make complaints. It's not specifically stated in the law. The ethics law needs to be modified so ethics complaints can be made by the public against the Inspector General or Compliance Officer. Mass mailing legislation needs to be modified to include advertisements, emails, website content, and any communication with the public using taxpayer money. And finally, we need a citizen-run Department of Transparency run by the residents. This is just a space on the website where residents control the facts and the records of this town, because you have failed to do it. Just the Facts Media does it.
Okay, thank you very much. Luis Mendez. Luis Mendez.
Hey, how are you?
Good morning, Town Board.
Your name and address for the record, please.
Luis Mendez, 36 Hart Lane, Westbury, New York, 11590. I want to ask a few questions, and then pertaining to those answers, I'll move forward. The first one is there an MWBE program and a compliance process in the town?
Yes.
Mr. Rao?
I'm sorry, is there a what?
An MWBE program. Do you know what that is?
I don't understand.
Minority and women-owned businesses.
Yes. For the public knowledge?
No.
For the knowledge of the public?
No.
There is 330,000 town residents who are minority categorized, Asians, Latinos, and African Americans. The pass-through money that you guys spend from the state comes with a 30% mandated goal, 20 MBE and 10 WBE. And you don't have a compliance?
Our Department of Planning and Economic Development, who receives money from the federal government as a pass-through from the state, reaches out to minority businesses.
But that was not my question. Outreach is just a portion of compliance.
Commissioner Truman, do you have something to add to this?
I just want to confirm, we take money from the state, from the Governor's Office of Storm Recovery, and we're required to meet those mandates.
And have you met those requirements over the last 5 years? And who does the compliance?
We meet them based on the money we're receiving, 100%. We're required to.
And yeah, you are. But the question is, what is the percentage that you are?
It's 15% for minority-owned and women-owned business, so 30% combined.
30% combined. So the question is, on every single contract, you do outreach, right, as you're supposed to?
Yes.
Okay, and the follow-up to that is, how is your compliance done?
The state actually monitors us, so.
All right, so I'm the former deputy director of the Nassau County Office of Minority Affairs.
I'd be happy
let
to meet you.
Let me at this juncture recognize Senior Councilwoman Guzman.
Okay, good morning. I've held conferences here in Town Hall for minority. I work with the county, with Mrs. Brazeley to have meetings. We've had a meeting, and we've had people come from all over just for this particular thing. And I will be working stronger with it this coming session that I'm in.
Yeah, I appreciate that, by the way, but that's outreach. The reason why I'm asking that question is you're contemplating an inspector.
Listen, I'm outreaching because many people do not know how it functions, okay? So first they need the education, and we are doing that. We have started that program, and I will continue it this coming year.
That'll be great. So New York State Empire State Development Entity has over 15,000 MWBEs that already know that this law exists, that participate in these contracts.
That's why they came here. I work with the state. Governor Cuomo sent his people here for me, and I had a meeting. We had a great attendance. So I don't know what else you expected, except they are making sure that, they're aware of what's going on. So that's what I'm doing. I would appreciate you if you'd like to come and help me.
Yeah, definitely. What I would expect is not just outreach, because you could comply without participating.
Well, they are complying. That's what
and so the point is, as an MWB entity, and Legislator Dunn, who was my former colleague at the time, understands that MWB compliance could be had without participation. You could comply with the law without having a minority entity participate, which is not the reason why we should have these laws into place. So the point of the Inspector General position should be to empower him or her with the ability to enforce MWB compliance. That is a significant factor to drive local jobs and local opportunities for town residents. And so if at the end of the day, in a $100 million contract, you can land 20 to 30 million for local contractors in the town of Hempstead, that's a cyclical economy impact that gives you the ability to make sure that those jobs stay here. And we have entities in the town that have the ability to participate. But if we don't have someone that gives you the ability to make sure that compliance is done in-house, the state is not going to look at doing the compliance for you. The compliance needs to be done in-house. And the participation's got to be greater than just outreach. Outreach is just a portion of the MWBE program. So I'm hoping that with your experience, Legislator Dunn, and her outreach, which has tremendous impact on this, we'll be able to at least gain compliance. And as far as not having a local law, that is a local law that makes sense. Nassau County has a law. The state has a law. I don't know why the town doesn't have that law. We should adopt that law because it immediately impacts local taxpayers in a positive manner. So I'm hoping that moving forward, all of you consider adopting an MWB law that makes sense for the town of Hempstead and empower the Inspector General.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Now we're ready to call the roll on Inspector General, and again, we will be calling them. I guess we need a motion on the first one. No one has signed in, but come on up. Not gonna deny anybody.
I think you'll see, sir, on the slip, Henry Boytel, Rockville Center, that I did sign in.
Okay, on the Office of Inspector General. Go ahead, sir.
First, my impression is that prior to November, there was not a great deal of enthusiasm for this proposition on the part of several members of this body. I'm wondering if you could tell us what has changed.
Well, I think your premise is incorrect, so I would say that your premise is incorrect. But you have anything to say on the specific issue?
There was a gentleman who spoke earlier in favor of a unified Office of Inspector General across the county, and I would like to speak in support of that. I think it's a great idea. There are as may not be known, there are a number of functions which, under the county charter, the county is permitted to cooperate with the towns in order to provide unified services. For example, a little-known provision is that the county attorney's office can, in fact, provide legal services to the towns upon request. In the same way, it seems to me that an Office of Inspector General, which is shared by the county and by the various towns, would be a far more efficient, productive, and cost-saving measure than to repeat Inspector Generals across each of these bodies. So I would speak in support of that proposition and suggest that this matter be tabled so that it can be explored. Second, I think it should be tabled also because there is a great deal, as has come out in some of the discussion thus far, that ought to be considered with regard to what an Inspector General ought to be doing, what the qualifications ought to be, what the powers ought to be, etc. There has not been, as far as I can tell, a great deal of study concerning how this office has been implemented in other jurisdictions so that we can learn from that and adopt provisions that are similar to what has been done successfully in other jurisdictions. So I would strongly urge you to table this matter at this time and permit the new administration to bring its insights into this as well, and that this matter be brought up as early as possible after appropriate consideration by the new administration.
Thank you. I have no other slips. Okay.
Diane Madden, East Meadow. On the Inspector General, my biggest request and concern is that this person have the ability to look back retroactive to every single thing you've done, Mr. Santino. I don't care if you went to the men's room. I want this Inspector General to know every order you gave, what happened during every meeting you had, every promotion you passed. As recent as today, you've just promoted someone less qualified in the building department to a construction inspection division over a highly qualified employee. So this is a great day, which is why I brought party hats and blowers and whistles. Come and pick them up where I'm seated if you like. Not for me, not for me. I could have gone on 25 more years. But for the animals, for the minorities, for the employees, for everyone you stood on and stepped on in the past few years, this is the best day. And nothing you can do is going to change that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Okay, now we need a motion on the Inspector General. So on the first item on Inspector General.
I move that the first version of the Inspector General, the hearing be closed and the item adopted.
Second.
Supervisor Santino.
No.
Councilman Ambrosino.
No.
Councilman Blakeman.
Yes.
Councilman D'Esposito.
No.
Councilman Dunn.
No.
Councilwoman Gooseby.
No.
Councilman King Sweeney.
Yes.
On the second aspect, on the second proposed local law relative to Inspector General, I believe Councilman Dunn has a.
Yes, sir. I'd like to amend the title of Office of Inspector General / Compliance Officer to eliminate the name Office of Inspector General because the general in the military is the highest rank there is. If you need an Inspector General in a governmental body, that means that's the last person you can go to get things done. Right now, Nassau County has alleged corruption. now, Oyster Bay has alleged corruption. There's been no alleged corruption or arrests in the town of Hempstead. Therefore,
Please, no catcalling, please. Show respect, please. No catcalling.
there have been no arrests in the town of Hempstead, so the appearance of impropriety in the town of Hempstead right now would really give the wrong effect if we say Inspector General. I would like to eliminate that. I love what the legislation says, and I am wholeheartedly for a compliance officer with all the duties mentioned in this legislation. But I really would like to hold Inspector General, Office of Inspector General, and study that possibility of piggybacking with the county and Oyster Bay, perhaps doing a one-person, there's a lot to look at to go to the Inspector General. But at this time, I would like to eliminate that so we can have it to go to. God forbid we need to.
So, Councilman, your amendment would be then to just retitle the office compliance officer, correct?
Exactly.
Is there a second?
Second.
On the amendment, please call it, please.
Wait. I would like to
Okay.
respond.
Go ahead, please.
To my colleague Dennis Dunn, I think you're absolutely right. The Inspector General is the last resort. Basically, the Inspector General is for the contractor who feels that they've been treated unfairly. It's for the employee who is a whistleblower. It's for the man or woman who is harassed in the workplace. It's for the individual who's pressured to do something that they feel is improper, and they can't go to their immediate superior because that may be the one that is inflicting that upon them. So the Inspector General is the court of last resort to investigate and do it fairly and honestly and diligently to make a determination whether or not there's any merit to the claim. So I'm going to vote against the amendment because I like the fact that they are the Inspector General.
Okay, so please call the roll on the amendment.
Supervisor Santino.
I just want to make a
Councilwoman.
comment. I appreciate what Councilman Dunn is saying and also Councilman Blakeman. And while I would greatly prefer that it be called an Inspector General, as we have been debating this for the last several months, I have publicly stated whether we call it Inspector General or Santa Claus, I don't care. I'm just trying to get a certain result. And so now you're calling me on that. And I guess this is preferable over Santa Claus. So while I would prefer that it be Inspector General, I do have to stand true to my words, and I am happy that people are joining us for a call for compliance officer, Inspector General, monitor, whatever it might be.
Okay, so now again, on the amendment to change the title.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
No.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilwoman King Sweeney.
Aye.
Okay, now on the item itself, I need a motion on the item itself as amended. Anybody?
Supervisor, I move that the proposed law with the amendment be adopted.
Second.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
Yeah, I'd like to explain my vote. This is nothing more than a watered-down version of what an Inspector General should be. This isn't Bud Light, it's near beer. There is nothing in here that protects the workers. There's nothing here that protects the taxpayers. There is no power given to the Inspector General. So I'm voting against this because I think this is a charade.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilwoman King Sweeney.
I share Councilman Blakeman's concerns about this Inspector General. That said, I don't think my version was perfect. I don't think this version is perfect. I think it's a good first attempt, and I think we need to have this dialogue going forward. So although I have some reservations, I am happy to support it. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, next item, please call it.
Proposed local law regarding taxi cabs and limousines in relation to the definition of the term terminal set therein.
Okay. Mr. Lawrence Blessinger. No. I love that. We did it, Dave. We just voted on it. Yeah, we're all good. Your name and address for the record, sir.
Lawrence Blessinger Jr., 845 Hempstead Turnpike, Franklin Square, New York. I believe that this is an updated version for taxi legislation that is needed for the traditional taxi companies to survive. Currently, right now, we've been attacked by transportation network companies known as Uber and Lyft, which don't have to follow the same heavy regulations that we follow in regards to our drivers getting criminal fingerprinted background checks through governmental agencies. Our business has been dramatically hampered because of this, and it is my belief that having several offices within a 5-mile radius is not needed. I do believe having a terminal within the town of Hempstead to service all of the town of Hempstead residents is proper. This is what the town of Oyster Bay does. This is what the town of North Hempstead does. I believe this is just updating the code. The taxi industry wants to still keep providing senior citizen discounts, free rides to the polls during Election Day. My company offers a program during the holiday season to take people home who are too intoxicated to drive their car home. It's getting with the times, and it's for the survival of the taxi industry, especially within the town of Hempstead. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Mr. Blessinger? Being none, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
No one from the public has signed in on this issue, so at this point, I will accept a motion on the local law.
Supervisor, I move that the public hearing be closed and the local law be adopted.
Second the motion.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Pasito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilwoman King Sweeney.
Aye.
Next item, please.
Proposed handicap parking on public streets in Elmont and West Hempstead.
Is there anyone who would like to be heard on this matter before the town board?
I move that the public hearing be closed and the item adopted.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Pasito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn. Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilwoman King Sweeney.
Aye.
Next item, please.
Proposed revised public parking field maps in Wanta.
Is there anyone who would like to be heard on this matter before the town board? There being none, I'll accept the motion, please.
I move that the hearing be closed and the item adopted.
Second.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Pasito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilwoman King Sweeney.
Aye.
Next item, please.
Proposed increase and improvement of facilities and authorizing district to issue refunding bonds and bonds for capital improvement program in the town of Hempstead.
Is there anyone who'd like to be heard on this matter before the town board? There being none, I'll accept the motion, please.
Move the hearing be closed and the item be adopted.
Second.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Pasito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman King Sweeney.
Aye.
Okay, call the administrative calendar, please.
Supervisor, on the administrative calendar today, we have items 1 through 58.
Okay. Does any member of the board wish to have any items on the administrative calendar? 7.
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, I would like to have items 17 and 55 severed.
Okay, any others? Nope. Okay. Nope. Others?
Okay. I'm
Which is the personnel? That's 55? Hold on, we have different numbers. Do I have an old version?
Wait, hold on a second.
Thank you.
There you have it all.
No, 1212. Wait. No, I am 1212.
55 is
Ju-
about parking, so I don't
Just,
think.
just, just, Supervisor, if I might, for clarity purposes, because there seems to be, there may have been a last-minute change, I think, for clarity purposes, Councilman Blakeman, you want to sever the amendment to the CBA agreement with the union, right? That you denoted as item 17?
Correct.
Okay, and I believe that on most calendars, that is item 17. Item 55, which I have as the resolution amending a resolution of various offices and positions and occupations in town government, that's the other one that you want to sever, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so if on other calendars that item 55 is listed as a different number, we're severing the resolution which amends Resolution 38-217, which deals with positions and occupations. Just for clarity purposes, those are the two things that you're severing.
Was there a different calendar given?
There may have been a last minute either addition or deletion which may have changed numbers on some calendars.
Supervisor,
I'm not sure.
Supervisor, may I just explain? The calendars are emailed to each of your board members' aides. And then there was a last-minute change, so the revised calendar was emailed to you. Now, it's up to your legislator aides who printed your calendar. Did they print the one before amendment, before the revision, or after? That's, Councilman, that's where it is.
When was the email sent?
Michelle, when was it sent? Thursday evening?
In
Friday?
any event,
Friday.
we know what the two...
Second email was sent on Thursday? No, the
Friday,
first email
Friday.
was sent.
Friday, sir.
She has it. She's coming with it.
What item do the other council members have?
I have
As 55.
I have 55 as a parking. Yeah, and considering that I have a coffee stain on this was probably an outdated version, would be my guess. So
Thank you, Councilman.
my 53 is the personnel, but I grabbed this from my home desk this
Your
morning.
53 is personnel.
Right.
This is mine.
So you have the earlier version.
Right.
That's probably accurate.
Yes, Town Clerk, I have the most recent version. Thank you. My
Okay, so-
legislative aide did a great job getting me the correct one.
She always does.
Mine was in Aruba.
Okay.
Can I also, as far as severing, I would like to, if we're operating under item 53 then, I guess, in the most, 55 in the most recent, I would like to sever 3 names, specific names from,
We got to sever this first, right?
We'll get,
when we call back to here?
yeah,
Okay.
that'll be called separately.
Got it.
You're a little ahead of the game. Okay, so now we have 2 items that have been severed, and we have the remainder of the administrative calendar. So as best as I can discern from these sheets. Okay, so look, could we have a motion to move the items on the administrative calendar that have not been severed?
Supervisor, I move the administrative calendar in its entirety from 1 through 58, with the exception of numbers 17 and 55,
Second.
which have, will you let me finish?
I thought you were done, Dorothy. I'm sorry.
Which have been severed.
Can I second it now?
You may.
Thank you. I second it.
Okay, so now we are going to make an effort to deal with the items that have not been severed. And there's a few folks that appear to be interested in that. And we will start with Terry Winston. Terry Winston.
This is regarding
Excuse me.
item number 13441,
I don't know.
authorizing the contract for continuing of senior citizens programs at Town of Hempstead Senior Centers, clubs,
Which one?
and town parks. Number 4.
Number to the right of it?
I said
on the right.
13441.
No, look on the
Oh,
number.
number 4.
Oh, okay.
It's a big list.
Number 4.
Go ahead. Yep.
I live in the incorporated village of Hempstead, and the town of Hempstead has a facility at 260 Clinton Street. And I have some issues with that particular facility. It is of my opinion that they're not really serving the residents in the community like they should.
Could we just hold one second? Commissioner Murphy, that's... It's the village of Hempstead, not the town of Hempstead.
Well, I was told by the village that
Well, are you complaining about the center itself or the...
the center itself.
It's the village of Hempstead.
Well, I was told that the town of Hempstead.
No, I have been there, Mrs. Winston, and I was very, very upset about what I found. They did do something. You should have seen it before I got there. They're supposed to put a stove in there. They have not done that. That comes through Village of Hempstead's money. We don't, the only thing we do is we have a program for them, but we don't supply, any of they're supposed to clean it. They're responsible for cleaning. They're responsible for putting in that stove. And they did do the cabinets over.
I understand that, but I was told by the village of Hempstead
Well, they are incorrect.
that it's a town of Hempstead senior facility. That's what I was told.
It's not, ma'am. I'm sorry I can't be held accountable for what they told you, but it's not our facility.
So I'm just being given a runaround.
I mean, if you wanna tell us about your specific problem with the facility, we may try to communicate with them, but we don't control it.
Yes, the transportation. Okay, the town of Hempstead provides transportation for that facility.
We provide transportation 1 day a week. Commissioner, just step up. Commissioner, why don't you come over here and make it easy?
Could you let me finish?
Well, she's going to sit next to you and hopefully answer your questions. Commissioner Murphy of our Senior Enrichment Department. Go ahead.
Okay, the transportation is provided 1 day a week. I'm pretty sure it's more than 1 day a week, but we're not going to go there. On the days that you're to provide the transportation, there are no provisions made if the driver if he's out sick or whatever the case may be, and then the seniors that are being picked up don't get picked up. And it happens a lot.
Okay, so we run a program, the town of Hempstead runs a program in the community room at 260 Clinton Avenue, 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. On Friday, we provide the transportation. On Monday and Wednesday, the transportation is provided by the Village of Hempstead, not the Department of Senior Enrichment. And that is how it has always been. And as far as when someone is out sick, if it is on a Friday and we are responsible for the transportation, we do our utmost to provide the transportation at that time. Occasionally, and not just at that particular center, but at any of our centers, occasionally it is impossible, at which time we do everything we can to mitigate that by making whatever arrangements possible, sometimes doubling up with our bus drivers, et cetera, et cetera. However, we do keep it as minimal as possible, and we never go to one center more than another in terms of when we're short on drivers because of somebody calling in sick and that type of matter. But the program is given by the town of Hempstead to the seniors who reside there and who attend that center Monday through Friday with transportation on Friday only. The facility, though, and the maintenance of the facility is strictly to the Village of Hempstead. It is their housing authority, not the town of Hempstead's.
Okay.
like I was saying, it happens a lot, okay? It happens a lot that the residents of the village of Hempstead are being deprived of transportation. And that's why it's probably one of the few senior centers that, that you don't have a good turnout, okay? That and the fact that the food is being ordered out a lot of times because the stove doesn't work. You got seniors that have medical issues or serious health issues, and they're eating food from Wings and Things and McDonald's, and that's unhealthy. I mean, you're going to send them to their deathbed earlier than they should be.
The stove would be.
I mean, is this the way for the town?
Who controls the stove?
The stove is absolutely controlled by the village of Hempstead, and we have had an issue there because there is no stovetop. So there is an oven, but there is no stovetop, because to do so they would need to put in an ancillary system at a tremendous cost to the village. And I have to commend Senior Councilwoman Dorothy Gooseby, because she came to that center last year with myself and really shook them up and told them that they had to do a lot better. And as a result, the kitchen was actually, I mean, it is amazingly how much better that kitchen currently operates in terms of cleanliness and new cabinets and the like. But we are still waiting for them to put in an ancillary system, at which point, hopefully, they will then be able to have a stovetop, and we will be able to provide the type of cooking and meals that we provide in all of the other centers. But we do our best with the limited resources we have there.
Thank you very much.
Well,
Thank you so much. We thank you.
Well, I'm not finished. I question their future existence. I don't see the point in having that facility if you can't provide the services that these seniors should be entitled to.
Ms. Winston,
Okay?
again, if you go
That's my opinion.
All right, I'm going to, you can go with me.
We've gone through this for a long time, and you know it.
I've gone and I've asked them to put the stove in. I cannot make them. I've asked them, and.
Well, then you need to shut it down then.
Okay, thank you very much. Catherine Gary. Catherine Gary.
He's not here.
Nope. Okay. Then we will move along to Jim Alkus again. Mr. Alkus. Name and address for the record, please.
Jim Alkus, 238 Broadway, Amityville. I'd like to speak on 1032, your appointment of a new plumbing individual. I don't know anything about him, but I would like to know, what was the hiring process? Were resumes out? Was it done by a certain individual? What was the process of how this gentleman is going to be put on that board?
Mr. Rao, would you indicate how we go
I
about
believe
that?
this was a recommendation from the building department.
Does anybody know who recommended him? Is there a process of hiring for this or no?
I believe we got a recommendation from the building department to put this on the calendar.
So basically, the building, John Rockamp has the ability to just hire the guy without anybody going through a resume or who he is?
Well, the town board is going to vote on whether or not he goes on the plumbing board. This is, so it's not the building, he doesn't hire, the commission doesn't hire anyone.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to just ask the board if they could consider waiting until next month, because I haven't had a chance to tell you my resume. But I actually sat on a plumbing board for 6 years, and I was blessed to sit with adults, and they were gentlemen. I sat with Henry Lang. And for 6 years, I was the one administering the test, believe it or not. I also run a youth league in my town. I have 1,400 children and an 18-member board. I'm not an attorney like several of you, but I do know Robert's Rules of Law, and I do know how a board should be conducted, And I will tell you this, because you are the face of your towns. Your plumbing board currently is being run by just one guy, and that's it. And his brother's on the board. So you got Joe Montilli, who's the chairman, and somehow his brother's on the board too. And a quorum, I don't know what your quorum is on your plumbing board, but it's always just two. So it doesn't sound like it's a legitimate situation. So I would hope you would leave it for Mrs. Gillen and make sure, I'm not going to speak poorly of the gentleman. I do not know him. Maybe he is the best guy for the job, but I would hope that you guys would take a look at the situation, because it is definitely not being run like a town entity, and it's a very, very unprofessional. I've been in front of the Suffolk County Board where I passed one license. I've been in front of the Town of Babylon Board where I passed another license. And you have gentlemen that treat you like a human being. In your board, you're not even an individual. It's just, I'm not talking to you. It is the most unprofessional thing I have ever been involved in, and I've been doing it for 5 years, and nothing's changed. So I just don't want this new guy to add to the problem. And I will tell you, I mean, for 5 years, you know I didn't come here because I thought that I was just not capable of it. I thought it was my dyslexia. But unfortunately, I found out from another local town attorney that Joe Montilli doesn't care for me. And the only reason I found out was one of the local administrations. That town attorney is a friend of mine, and he called me and told me, you're never going to get your license in Hempstead. This Montilli guy hates your guts. I still don't know why, but he's been right. So since he told me that a year and a half ago, I had to hire a private eye, and I did. And I have a bag of proof that proves I passed my license not once, but twice. And I still don't have it.
Thank you very much.
I hope you get somebody better. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
I respect you, Mr.
Okay,
Sweeney.
thank you very much, sir. Mr. Felix Procacci. Now, Mr. Procacci, you will be recalled when we deal with the severed items, but at the very least, from the list that you provided when you signed in, you had wanted to talk about, in addition, 52 and 54, so.
Yes. Well, 55, you said.
Well, but that is one of the severed items. You'll be,
Yeah,
I'll call you, what I'm saying is I'm going to call you back for those.
Yes.
Don't think, I'm not,
Okay, on item number 54, the reappointing of the Board of Appeals members. Couture D'Amato, I don't know, she's not on this list. Is she going to be on the board next year?
Mr. Ra?
She is a holdover on the board.
She's a holdover. She should be fired immediately. She's nuts. She is absolutely nuts. I sat in a hearing for 14 hours with her. She's freaking nuts. Okay? And as far as the rest of them, they're all corrupt. Absolutely everyone has no concern for building code, for laws, for consideration. I sat through a hearing with them. They give consideration to the people they want to give consideration to. These are the people who let Kate Murray, Gary Hughes, and Angie Cullen go before all the rest of the residents to speak at a hearing. Other people had to wait 8 hours to speak, and they let the supervisor go first. There's corruption between all of them. It's very clear if you want to see it. Of course, John Ryan, who I want to talk to about the ethics board, if I reported to him, he would say there's nothing because he's part of the problem. And that goes to the other issue. None of those people should be appointed to the ethics board. I don't know the other two, but John Ryan is corrupt. John Ryan is corrupt. He does not belong on an ethics board. Okay, the membership dues on the Town of Hempstead Association of Towns and the employee training for Dorothy Gooseby, waste of money. Waste of absolute money. She doesn't care about the rules of the Town of Hempstead or anything. She's just in it for herself, a power play, every option she gets to. She doesn't abide by the rules. She threw me out 13 seconds. 13 seconds I overspoke at the last hearing, and she ordered the guard to throw me out, to remove me. 13 seconds. How many people do you say that to? 13 seconds over the 5-minute limit, I was asked to be removed by Dorothy Gooseby. And that happened in a prior time last year where she asked for me to be removed because I talked about something she didn't want to hear about during my time during miscellaneous calendar. She should be removed, if anyone. On the issue of Be Ready, Fishbein, Hatter, and Donovan, the council, I think that should be kicked down the road and let Laura Gillen decide who the special counsel should be, because there's too much cooperation between the parties and this firm. They're very politically connected. They have their hands in everything. You just go to different Garden City, you name it, they're there. Let the new supervisor pick who the council will be. On the bond resolution for the Verizon settlement, why is it?
Thank you very much, Mr. Procacci. Rich Shuren. Richard Shuren. Name and address for the record, please.
Richard Shuren, 167 Jefferson Avenue, Island Park, New York. I'd like to speak about the items on the calendar with respect to the selection of counsel. I spoke about this before. It was represented to me by Mr. Ra that he chooses the counsel from his experience, his personal preference. I think that's an entirely inappropriate selection process. I think that the board, when the new administration comes in, should impose a process that involves the solicitation of requests for qualifications, and all attorneys in the area, or national firms even, should have the opportunity and the right to represent the town board, and et cetera. I think the way it's done now is entirely inappropriate. Even if these people are not selected based upon their political contributions or whatever other improper factors may be considered, it still creates an appearance of impropriety. And I urge the board members that are coming back and the new administration to consider a new process, a open and transparent process with respect to the selection of counsel.
Thank you.
Just to correct what you said, I don't do anything by myself. You said I do it myself. I do not do anything by myself.
Well, when I asked you about it last time,
I never said that I do it. I said we do it as we take recommendations from other. I just want to clear the record.
Well, you previously represented that it was you or your office that selected the counsels who represent the town based upon your own personal preference and based upon your experience, which I think is inappropriate.
We disagree.
Okay. On the items now that have not been severed on the administrative calendar, I need a motion, I believe, just to make sure. On the items that have not been severed, we're going to recall people on the severed items. In general, is late. If it's on a specific item on the administrative calendar. Okay. Which item is it, Ms. Gordon? Do you have the number?
Number 54.
54.
How many years does a BZA member get appointed for?
There are varying.
Five.
There are varying. Yeah.
There are varying terms of office, but 5 years is the maximum. The reason you see different numbers for expiration dates is because they're altered based on who they took the place of. In other words, if you take the place of someone who's in the 3rd year of a term, you would only get another 2 years. But essentially, it's a 5-year term.
Okay, so can you just explain to me if somebody was appointed in May of 2005, for example?
It would depend on whose place that person took. If he's appointed midterm, that person would only, he or she appointed midterm, he or she would only get the duration of that term and then have to be reappointed again. That's why you see altered terms.
Okay, so if someone's in 2005, hypothetically, and it was for 5 years, that brings them out to 2020, is that correct?
No, 2005, if they were starting a new term, then that would bring them to 2010.
And then 15, then 20, then 25?
Correct. Assuming that they were appointed to a full 5-year term in.
But when I foiled, when people were appointed, what you gave me was a member was appointed May 24th, 2005. How would we know? This is a document that I received from the town of Hempstead. So if someone was appointed in 2005, I would have to assume that it's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25.
Not correct. Not correct. It's not a correct assumption.
So what I would have to do is I have to go back and look and see who this person's place was being taken from?
Yes, we'd have to go back to see, I don't know how many years, but we would have to go back.
Okay, when was Joanne Ruth Adams appointed?
If the board votes for it, she'll be appointed today.
And whose place is she taking?
I don't know.
How could you not know, Joe?
There's a vacancy. I don't know who's, she may be a.
Is she taking Mrs. D'Amato's place?
No.
Okay.
Give me a second. Frank Mistero. He's taking Frank Mistero's place. And he's in the middle of a term.
Yeah, and where is he going? Is he being reappointed to another position?
Not that I know of.
Okay. 22, 23, and 24. Is there any obligation for the new administration that's coming in to use these attorneys, Stephen Lester, Phil Marino? They're used on like a per diem basis.
Stephen Lester is counsel to Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Phil Marino is a retained counsel by the town attorney's office.
So number 22, Stephen Lester, the new administration is not under any obligation. Is that correct?
He's counsel to Councilwoman Gooseby, Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Yes, but he's not protected by the union. So if Ms. Gillen wants to come in and put somebody else in there, is that an option? That's all I'm asking.
I would guess that that's an option. However, town board members run their offices, and they vote for their budgets.
I understand. Okay. You know what? I got my point.
The short answer is it's done by town board resolution.
Okay, so Ms. Gillen could have a town board resolution to put somebody else in there. Is that correct? I'm just trying to understand how this whole thing works.
That is correct.
Okay, and the last one is number 41. Is that being passed today, or is that going on January 9th?
That's a public hearing, I believe, for January 23rd.
No, that is the.
Oh, that's a secret neg deck. I'm sorry.
Declaration.
I'm sorry, what did Mr. Santino say?
I'm sorry. I thought it was a resolution calling the public hearing. That's an environmental. There's certain laws that require us to do a finding of non-significance on the environment, that the law is not going to have an adverse effect on the environment. There's certain. It's under New York State environmental law that requires these things. So that's what that is.
Okay, so you're not voting on the law today, correct?
We're voting on voting on the fact that there's no deleterious effect on the environment if we pass that law.
Wait, I'm sorry.
We're passing a CEQA neg deck today. The hearing on the law is going to be
later on.
I believe January 23rd.
Is it January? I thought I read January 9th today.
Maybe I'm wrong.
9th?
January 9th.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, on the non-severed items, on any one of the non-severed items, on something that's on the administrative calendar? Okay. Okay.
My name is Stephanie Kennedy.
Mary Ellen, we'll get you next. Go ahead. Your name and address, please, for the record.
Capuano, 34 Wishbone Lane, Wantagh, New
Okay. Could you just speak a little?
Capuano, 34 Wishbone Lane, Wantagh, New York.
Okay, and which item on the administrative calendar are you?
Under 17 and all the other ones.
No, 17 has been severed. That'll be later in the meeting.
I think it was the one that she was just speaking about.
About?
An environmental test?
Yeah, no, it was about, I have a specific question about the hiring practices right now during this lame duck period.
Do you have a specific item, a specific one that you want to speak about? You need to get prep from somebody in the audience?
Not sure. What? I'm not sure.
Okay, then, I mean, later when we do
I thought it was 17.
then that's been severed. That'll be
Well, then
later.
I was already on the list, and nobody called.
But we're calling it later. They're separate. They're being dealt with separately. So we're dealing with the non-severed items now, and then I have
I had a specific question along with her, like as far as hiring people during this period. Is that?
that is later in the meeting.
Okay.
Okay? Mary Ellen Craig. Name and address for the record, please.
Of course, Mary Ellen Cray, 436 Locust Avenue, Uniondale. On items 3 and 4, are those, what kind of programs are they?
Commissioner Murphy, again, that would be you. Senior enrichment.
Yes. On numbers 3 and 4, there are two different things. One is to actually hire, by contract, which we do, specialty type people, such as line dancing instructors, such as artists who do painting classes, such as people who do instructions in cooking, and also are entertainers who come down to the Summer Beach program and who also provide musical entertainment at the various parties, which each center has one a month of. So every center has an anniversary type party once a month, and we do in fact provide some musical entertainment for them. So that is what the personal service type contracts that we have. So basically those are all little expert type things. It would be extremely expensive to have employees that would be doing this. So this is a way in which we save tremendous amounts of money, because instead of paying someone a large salary and also benefits, instead we are able to pay them for the 1 or 2 hours of service that they provide at a substantial cost savings. The other situations, number 3 and 4, actually goes to the purchasing of things, such as food that we sell during the senior program and at our events. We have contract with the bus company, which actually provides bus services down to the Summer Beach program, and when we have specialty events. So they're primarily contracts that we have with either transportation, the large yellow buses, which go to various communities, every community once a week during our summer months and our summer program, to provide those residents with some type of transportation, and also primarily whether it be food supplies or paper good type products. So that's what those two items are about.
Thank you. Well, as you know, I'm very interested in the senior programs and what they do for all of us who are over the age of. And the movement programs are extremely important. They're very well attended. At the Salisbury Center, for example, now that the East Meadow Center is closed, Salisbury is quite crowded. The movement classes, it's almost impossible to move at times because there are people sitting at the tables now, which were empty previously. So they're very well attended, and we really appreciate them. Thank you.
I'm glad you do. Thank you.
Further on 33, Department of Planning and Economic Development, lead inspection. I'm sorry. Okay. I guess it's 34.
34, okay. Contract for professional services.
Oh, I see. Okay, so these are not the programs specifically in the, it's these extra services.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, on the administrative items that have not been severed, I need a motion. Okay, on the items that have not been severed.
If you could recap before my time starts as to what was severed, because some of us had to wait outside.
17 and 55. Name and address for the record, please.
No problem. Meta J. Merriday, Baldwin resident. I'm glad that we are, at this particular meeting, adhering to what had been previously taking place when questions were asked, the answers would be provided, and the clock would be stopped. I will not go backward into past history, but I do believe that residents who have participated in these meetings for an extended period of time are due an apology for the behavior of the representatives who have been elected to the position that sit before us. I just want that on the record. They know, we know, and it's on the record, that moving forward, that type of behavior will not be tolerated. Moving on. Items number 2, 6, 8, 9, 10. Just want to keep that moving. As far as these resolutions to accept proposals, I'm questioning whether there had been some input from the incoming administration, and why does it feel like our tax rolls are being overly burdened by extensive proposals for additional services at the end of the year. They're going to be mighty busy for what, a 2-week period? If someone could address that. On item 10, just a question with regard to authorizing issuance of this $25 million serial bond. Was that a part of the initial package on the budget that seemed to be rushed forward before the election?
Mr. Conroy, you want to come forward?
Excuse me, item number 10, is that what you're addressing?
Yes, the $25 million serial bonds to finance said appropriation authorizing construction of road improvements through the town.
That is basically the road improvements to the town for resurfacing the towns. The town has in its capital plan $25 million. The timing of this is imperative that it gets done before year end. It is an accounting issue. We need to capitalize some of the engineering department's time and effort and benefits accordingly. And basically, it's just an authorization of the issuance of a bond, of which we anticipate going into the market the first quarter of 2018.
So that would mean that there are tax implications, and this would be incorporated into the budget for the incoming administration. Is that not correct?
How this gets incorporated in the budget, and there is no change in that regard, it comes under the caption of debt service. It all depends upon the life of the project. This happens to have what's known as a PPU, that stands for period of probable use of 10 years, so it will be paid through the budget prospectively as amortized over a 10-year period.
Okay, so when we had some initial information last year about the alleged budget surplus and the alleged bond rating, that was proven to be untrue. Is this going to impact that in any way moving forward when we actually get the real numbers?
I'm very confused upon that question.
Don't worry, I'm confused about what's helping, but I appreciate
I appreciate your question. I certainly want to answer your question.
When you said debt service, what is the impact of the debt service on the bond rating? And what is the actual bond rating for the town of Hempstead? Because there was some confusion about that.
The bond rating for the town of Hempstead currently exists at investment grade A. It's double A. Upper font A, lowercase a. That's about 3 down from the top. The debt service itself is if you have a mortgage, you pay interest and you pay principal on your mortgage. Debt service is the same concept here. Interest and principal on the bonding for, in fact, in this case, the road improvement.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, as I mentioned the other numbers earlier, because I do want to stay on my time, because heaven forbid I don't really need to have 4 service officers trying to escort me from this table when I was trying to execute my freedom of speech. with these contracts, accepting proposals for I have a serious issue with regard to the implementation of this ethics process here when we have people who are sitting on this board who are determining salaries and things of that nature. So maybe, Mr. Ra, since I'm still confused as to whose attorney you are if we're trying to bring on more people to be attorneys, because you stated that the town board authorizes their budget. I don't know what that
Thank you very much, Ms. Merida. We have a lot of people today, so we're adhering to the time frame. Okay.
1:59.
No, it's a 3-minute. It's a 3-minute rule. The clock mechanically was not resetting, but it's 3 minutes. Okay.
But I did have a question that was on there.
All right, Mr. Ra, answer that question, and then we'll move on.
Your question
And
is...
could you please address the clock, because many of us had to stand outside in the lobby, so we weren't aware of all these changes in the rules.
Because of the large crowd today, the supervisor has decided to go back to the 3-minute rule that's in our rules and regulations. In the past, as a courtesy to the general public, he was allowing 5 minutes, but in an effort to have everyone speak, we went back to 3 minutes today.
Okay.
Okay. Your question is about the outside counsels that are being hired?
Yes.
Okay. Are you talking about Mr. Lester, Mr. Marino, those the ones you're talking about?
Right. And
Okay,
also,
so
what I
Steve,
said
Mr.
was
Lester,
the contracts that are being voted on by board members who have relatives who work for the town, how can they ethically vote for anything that pertains to that? I don't know what relationships these attorneys have with anyone who is sitting on this board currently.
I don't believe those attorneys have any relationships.
But you don't have that in writing.
I don't believe any of the attorneys on the list have any relationship.
Okay. So in answer to the question about the attorneys, that you said that the town board passes their budget. The taxpayers pass the budget. So we need to make sure that that's correct.
Thank you.
Oh, no problem. You're welcome.
Okay. Now, we are on the administrative items that have not been severed. Name and address to the record, and please state the item you wish to speak about.
William McCabe, Floral Park. The Verizon lawsuit. Can you explain that? What's the background? When clearly we lost something really badly, and the town has to pay out all that money?
The short answer is that the town is indemnified and held harmless by the County of Nassau because this has to do with assessment cases dating back to at least 2005. The money is being bonded because under the laws of the state of New York, the town must pay it out first and then seek reimbursement from Nassau County.
How long did the town know that they had to pay that money out? How long did the board know? Did you know, Mr. Rock?
The judgments were probably issued within the last 60 to 90 days. I'm not 100% sure. But as you might appreciate, to take $25 million and pay it out lump sum when it's to pay liabilities that have formed over the last 14 or 15 years or so would not be prudent in budget. Plus, we have to wait for reimbursement from the county, who will also then go out and bond it. And so that's why that's being bonded.
Right, but the question was, how long did the town know that
Whenever
they had to
the
pay
judge
that out?
whenever the judge signs the order to pay is when the clock starts to run.
When
So I
did
would
the judge
think
sign the order?
I would think within the last 60 to 90 days. I'm not 100% sure.
Can you get me that information before January 2nd?
Sure, you can. Please send me a FOIL request.
Okay. And as for the lawyers that are being hired on 23 and 35, I've mentioned in the past about how I've seen that the lawyers that the town hires go and donate money to Citizens for Santino, Friends of Santino, Citizens for this guy, Friends of that guy. Is there Is there any, has there been any research done as to whether or not those law firms, partners and associates have donated any money to any of these recent campaigns, albeit one and failed?
No, and it has nothing to do with their hiring. Phil Marino has been a member of the town attorney's office for 35 years.
No,
and
I'm talking about the.
Yeah, I'm just telling you, it has nothing to do with. The short answer is it has nothing to do with it. No research was done.
Not on this long law firm here that's raised in number 23.
They are the preeminent.
Oh, I'm sorry, not 23, 35.
They are the preeminent labor relation, one of the preeminent labor relation firms on Long Island.
Okay, that's I'll look into that. Thank you.
Okay. Again, we are on the administrative items that have not been severed. You've already, sir. No, you're next, sir. Sir, you would. Okay. No, sir, I'll run the meeting. You're first.
I'm Jeff Hansen from 2077 Stuyvesant Avenue in East Meadow, and this is my first time here. I first of all wanted to say thank you to you because I think you gave this job your best shot, and some of the things that you've done in cutting the budget.
Thank you, sir.
In lowering the budget and in lowering the town workforce by 7%, I thank you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
I also am concerned because item 35, 48, 51, 52, and maybe some others, the appointment of all these people that basically are going to extend into the term of the Democratic term. It seems to me that that's a real problem, because if you have someone from the other party come in and take over, but they have to use all the people that were appointed by the other party, who are inevitably going to lean in that direction in terms of their political outlook. I see two clashing forces. And I'm concerned about that because I live in the town of Hempstead. I pay taxes here. And I'm also concerned that this is a historical precedent in that, the first time in 100 years, I think, that a Democratic, there's a change of party. No, please. And I think that you're setting precedents here. Now, you may very well win the 2020 election, and if you're setting the precedent today, of am I going to put all my people in, and so you're going to have to work with them? Well, in 2020, the shoe is on the other foot, and so I would just urge you to come to some kind of compromise so that the incoming supervisor has at least half a chance of working with some of their own people. Maybe like you appoint one, they appoint two, something like that. It just would work better for the town, in my opinion. Well, anyway, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your info. Okay. On the administrative calendar now. Excuse me. Okay, go ahead. But you've already spoken once, ma'am. We'll get to you, too. Fine. Okay. Go ahead. Ma'am, what's your name and address for the record, please?
Margaret Zeider, Cameron Lane, Valley Stream.
Okay. And what specific item on the administrative calendar?
About 51. Do you really feel a need to have not one, but two Town of Hempstead IDAs and Nassau County IDAs creating businesses in my community?
Well, these are appointments to the board. There are currently,
Right.
there is currently and has been for many, many years a Town of Hempstead IDA. There are, I believe it's 4 vacancies. that we are filling. Obviously, there is a case that can be made for having the town's own IDA, and there are some that I would guess that would talk counter to it, but that's not the issue here. The issue really is about.
Can I find the resumes of each?
Oh, we can do that. Okay. Mr. Town Attorney?
The resumes are online, but they are posted online, but we can give them to you. But they are posted online.
Be a problem after a year.
Well, they're posted online.
Fred Perola's office? Yes?
No, the town.
The resumes for this, for the people on this calendar are posted online. Okay?
On the town's website.
On the town's website.
One more. The Green Acres Mall is in litigation. And we're paying a law firm. All of town of Hempstead is now funding a law litigation because it was done wrong. I'm wondering, this is going to be the third board. Do we really want to go there? Or should we just slow it down, fix what's broken before we move forward? We have Nassau County providing just as many pilots.
We're going to know very shortly about the Green Acres Mall because the State Comptroller's Office is finishing an audit.
Yes, I speak to him.
And so we'll know very shortly about where we are on that.
So when we know what recourse do we have, we'll hire another law firm to defend the board. Who defends the residents? You get what I'm saying? When you hired the law firm, silly me, I was excited. I spoke to Bill Muller. I told everyone they were going to defend the residents. Then I find out how stupid are you. They were hired to defend Fred Perola and the previous board, who resigned the night before they were going to get fired. There's something terribly wrong with the whole thing, and I don't see why there's a rush today to replace all those board members when we don't even know what we're dealing with and what kind of resumes we should be looking at. So this is just more of the same. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Ma'am? Thank you. Name and address for the record again, please.
My name is Terry Winston. I reside at 55 Courtney Road in the Incorporated Village of Hempstead.
Okay. And which item on the administrative calendar?
I am going to speak in reference to 51, which is the appointment of the Town of Hempstead IDA, the new members. I would like to agree with the last person that spoke with respect to the Town of Hempstead IDA. Given their track record, which isn't good, they botched up Green Acres. They botched up that racetrack in Elmont. The equestrian center in Elmont, a few years prior to that, I believe they gave a pilot to 600 Fulton Street, and he's a slumlord. Okay, and they recently, when he defaulted on his pilot, they recently gave him another pilot so he can default on that. Okay, all of these breaks are given at the expense of the taxpayers. All right. I would also like to complain about Fred Perola and his staff and how very disrespectful and just totally in disregard for what's right when it comes down to running a meeting. I was at a meeting last week, Monday, an LDC meeting with regards to an applicant in the village of Hempstead. And I said about 3 words, and Mr. Perola interrupted me, and I interjected and I said, it's my time to speak, and it was. And he called security on me. So rather than get arrested or whatever, I decided to leave. So I couldn't even, speak on anything or question the applicant. I feel as a taxpayer, I have a right to know where my money is going. All right, and he claims that he has a vetting process. But if I have something to support my concerns, then I should have a right to speak on it. And he should not be advising the applicant that they don't have to answer any of my questions, and neither should he. So anyhow, I leave, I'm out in the hallway, and that gentleman right over there in the white shirt over there, he shows up with 4 other people, and I was having a conversation with another individual, and he told me not only did I have to leave, I told him, I said, I left where the meeting was being held, and he said I have to leave the building entirely. All right?
Okay.
Well, so I left. Look, listen. This is important, okay? Fred Parola has to go.
Okay.
You know it, and everybody else on that board
Thank you very
knows
much.
it.
And your
okay?
time,
His track record dictates that he should be fired.
expired. Thank you very much. All right, now I'll accept the motion on the administrative calendar except for the items that have been severed. Is there such a motion, Senior Councilwoman?
Supervisor should be picking the people for the town of Hempstead IDA.
Okay. Is there a motion? I made the motion, right? Okay, so just the clarification that the administrative calendar, except for the severed items, there has been a motion and a second. Okay, so now call the roll, please.
Supervisor Santee.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino.
Aye, except with item 51, on which I recuse myself.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman King Sweeney.
I accept. I'll be abstaining on items 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 17, 20, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, and 29. I'm delighted that we have a compliance officer going forward, so I think these votes will be a lot easier in the future. And I also just want to point out item number 49, that is an approval to apply for a grant with New York State in connection with Baldwin redevelopment. I'm very excited about that, and I want to single out Commissioner George Bakich for his monumental help in completing that application.
Thank you.
Okay. Ma'am, did you sign in on the admission?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Well, on what item do you want to speak, ma'am?
I would like to speak about item, I believe it was item 35. Essentially, I'm making a blanket statement. Mr. Santino, you lost this election.
So item number
During-
35, relative
Yes.
to special counsel.
Yes,
Special
yes.
counsel, be ready, Fishbein Heider. Okay.
Appointment of special counsel.
Okay.
Which I feel you cannot do. This is a democracy. You did not win this election. This is a small lame duck period, and virtually every item on the agenda, with the exception of town ordinances, relates to people that you intend to appoint in perpetuity. You cannot hold on to power when you lost the election. This is not how democracy works. It doesn't work like this.
So on, Ms.
I
And again, anything with respect to be ready, Fishbein Hatter and Donovan.
Yes, I think that Mrs. Gillen won the election. She will be taking office on January 2nd, that's several weeks from today, and she is, as the new Town of Hempstead supervisor, entitled to choose her own law firm, her own ethics appointees, her own inspector general, which you had resisted appointing for years and years, yes, until you lost this election. Now you want to put someone in place who will have almost unlimited powers to reach in with a dead hand
to wrest power from the duly elected town supervisor. We all object to this. We went to the polls to vote. We elected Mrs. Gillen. There's good reason why you weren't elected. And this bullying and these corrupt practices of trying to install your appointees when you've lost. You are no longer, as of January 2nd, you are not town supervisor anymore. That's how it works. And you are not going to tie Mrs. Gillen's hands. She's entitled to her own appointees and also her own contract with civil service employees. So, you know.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you, and it is time for you to go.
Thank you very much. Have a very nice day. Okay. Now, we voted on that, and now the stenographer needs a break. We will come back to consider the two severed items.
What's that? I can't hear you.